February 5th, 2026. The Cleveland Browns issue a press release that most casual fans probably scroll past without thinking twice. It's not about a blockbuster trade. It's not about a draft pick. It's about an assistant coaching hire. Bill Callahan has been named the Browns' new offensive line coach and run game coordinator. If you're not deeply plugged into NFL coaching circles, that name might not mean much to you. But if you know football, if you understand what separates good offenses from great ones, you just sat up straight. Because Bill Callahan is not just another offensive line coach, he's one of the best to ever do it. Let me take you through why this hire is massive, why it changes everything for Cleveland's offense, and why this might be the single smartest move Todd Monken has made since becoming head coach. Bill Callahan has been coaching in the NFL since 1995, over 30 years in this league. He's coached offensive lines for the Oakland Raiders, the Nebraska Cornhuskers in college, the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington football team, and most recently, the Cleveland Browns' division rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. But what makes Callahan special isn't just longevity, it's results. Everywhere Bill Callahan goes, offensive lines get better. Not incrementally, dramatically. In Dallas from 2011 to 2012, he took an offensive line that was ranked 24th in the league and turned it into a top 10 unit in one season. In Washington from 2015 to 2019, he coached one of the most dominant offensive lines in football. The Washington line was consistently ranked in the top 5 during his tenure. They paved the way for multiple 1,000-yard rushers. They protected the quarterback at elite levels. Then he went to Cincinnati in 2020, and what happened there is the reason Todd Monken wanted him in Cleveland. When Callahan arrived in Cincinnati, the Bengals' offensive line was a disaster. They were ranked dead last in the NFL in 2019. Joe Burrow, the rookie quarterback drafted #1 overall in 2020, was getting destroyed behind that line. He was sacked 32 times in just 10 games before tearing his ACL. Callahan couldn't fix it immediately because the talent wasn't there. But over the next few years, he developed the players, changed the scheme, and by 2021, the Bengals' offensive line was good enough to protect Joe Burrow all the way to the Super Bowl. By 2023 and 2024, they were a top 10 unit. Burrow had time to throw, the run game became explosive, and Callahan was the architect. Now, think about what that means for Cleveland. The Browns' offensive line has been inconsistent at best over the past few seasons. In 2024 and early 2025, they allowed too many sacks. Deshaun Watson, when he played, was under constant pressure. He was getting hit, hurried, knocked down. The offense couldn't establish rhythm because Watson didn't have time to operate. And if they drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 2025 draft, protecting a young quarterback became even more critical. That's not good enough, not if you want to compete in the AFC North against Baltimore's defense, Pittsburgh's pass rush, and Cincinnati's improved defensive front. And it's definitely not good enough if you're planning to develop a franchise quarterback for the future. This is where Bill Callahan changes everything. Todd Monken knows that his entire offensive system depends on the quarterback having time. He wants to push the ball downfield. He wants intermediate and deep routes to develop. He wants play action to work. None of that happens if the offensive line can't protect.
So Monken went out and got the best offensive line coach available. And the fact that he pulled Callahan away from Cincinnati, a division rival, is even more significant. The Bengals didn't want to lose him, but Monken offered something Cincinnati couldn't: the opportunity to build an offensive line from scratch with full support from a new head coach who understands how critical the trenches are. Let's talk about what Callahan is walking into. The Browns have talent on the offensive line, but it's been underutilized. Jedrick Wills Jr., the left tackle drafted 10th overall in 2020, has shown flashes but hasn't lived up to his potential. Joel Bitonio, the veteran left guard, is one of the best in the league when healthy, but he's in the later stages of his career. Ethan Posich at center is solid but not elite. Wyatt Teller at right guard is a mauler in the run game, but sometimes struggles in pass protection. And the right tackle position has been a revolving door. This is exactly the kind of situation Bill Callahan thrives in. He takes good but not great talent and elevates it. He takes inconsistent players and makes them consistent. He takes schemes that don't fit the personnel and adjusts them to maximize strengths. Here's what Callahan is going to do in Cleveland, based on his track record. First, he's going to implement a zone blocking scheme in the run game. This is his specialty. Zone blocking allows offensive linemen to use athleticism and leverage rather than just raw power. It creates running lanes by moving defenders laterally rather than trying to blow them off the ball vertically. And it fits perfectly with the kind of backs Cleveland has: Nick Chubb, if he's still recovering, Jerome Ford, and whoever else they add in the upcoming 2026 draft or free agency. Second, he's going to simplify pass protection assignments. One of the biggest problems with Cleveland's offensive line over the past few seasons has been communication breakdowns. Linemen missing blitz pickups, confusion on stunts and twists, quarterbacks getting blindsided because someone didn't recognize the defensive look. Callahan is obsessive about communication. He drills it endlessly. His offensive lines are known for being smart, cohesive units that operate like one organism. Third, he's going to develop Jedrick Wills. This is critical. Wills has the talent to be a Pro Bowl left tackle, but he's been inconsistent and battling injuries. Callahan has a history of getting the best out of tackles. He coached Trent Williams in Washington and helped him become one of the best offensive linemen in football. He worked with Lael Collins in Dallas and turned him into a reliable starter. If anyone can unlock Wills' potential, it's Callahan. Fourth, and this is where it gets really interesting for Browns fans, Callahan is going to have major input on draft strategy. As the run game coordinator, he's not just coaching the offensive line, he's designing the entire ground attack. That means he'll be involved in evaluating running backs, tight ends who can block, and additional offensive linemen to draft or sign in the 2026 offseason.
There are rumors, unconfirmed but circulating among NFL insiders, that Callahan has already identified 2 offensive linemen in the upcoming 2026 draft class that he wants Cleveland to target. One is a guard from a top college program who fits the zone blocking scheme perfectly. The other is a right tackle who can immediately compete for the starting job and solidify that position for the next decade. If the Browns listen to Callahan and draft his guys, the offensive line could go from a weakness to a strength in one offseason. Now let's connect this to the biggest question hanging over Cleveland, the quarterback situation. If Deshaun Watson is still the starter going into the 2026 season, he needs protection. Watson's game is built on mobility, extending plays, creating outside the pocket. But he can't do any of that if he's getting hit immediately on every dropback. With Callahan coaching the offensive line, Watson will have the time and space to operate the way he did in Houston when he was an elite quarterback. But if the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders in 2025 and he's developing into the franchise quarterback, the offensive line becomes even more critical. Shedeur is not a mobile quarterback. He's a pocket passer. Quick release, accurate, makes good decisions, but he's not running around making defenders miss. He needs a clean pocket. He needs protection. And if the Browns throw him out there behind a bad offensive line, he's going to struggle, maybe even get hurt, and the entire investment will be wasted. Bill Callahan is the insurance policy. He's the guy who makes sure that whoever the quarterback is, they have a chance to succeed. There's another layer to this hire that's fascinating. Callahan is now 68 years old. He's been coaching for decades. He's been a head coach before. He was the head coach of the Oakland Raiders in 2002 and 2003. And he's been an interim head coach multiple times. He's seen it all. He's forgotten more about football than most coaches will ever know. And Todd Monken, a relatively new head coach, just brought in someone who has more experience, more credibility, and more respect around the league than he does. That takes humility. That takes confidence.
That shows that Monken is serious about building a great staff, not just surrounding himself with yes-men or guys who won't challenge him. This is the kind of move that championship organizations make. It's the opposite of the dysfunction Cleveland has been known for. It's smart, it's strategic, it's investing in the foundation of the offense rather than just chasing flashy skill position players.
The reaction around the league has been telling. NFL coaches who know Callahan have praised the hire publicly. Former players who were coached by him have posted on social media congratulating the Browns and saying Cleveland just got one of the best in the business. Even Cincinnati Bengals fans, who just lost Callahan to a division rival, are admitting that this is a huge pickup for the Browns. That's how respected this guy is. As we move deeper into February 2026 and get closer to free agency and the draft, watch how the Browns' strategy shifts. Watch who they target in free agency. Watch which offensive linemen they bring in for visits. All of that is going to be influenced by Bill Callahan's evaluation and his vision for what this line can become. And when the 2026 season starts, when you watch Cleveland's offense, pay attention to the offensive line. Watch how they move in sync. Watch how the run game opens up. Watch how the quarterback, whoever it is, has time to go through progressions and make throws. That's Bill Callahan's fingerprint. That's what he does. This hire might not have generated the same headlines as drafting a quarterback or signing a big-name free agent, but in 6 months, when the Browns' offense is humming and the quarterback is protected and the run game is dominant, people are going to look back at this moment and realize this was when everything changed. Todd Monken just made his most important move as head coach. He brought in a legend to build the foundation. And if it works, the Cleveland Browns might finally have the offense they've been dreaming about for decades.